We'll be back from the break. Let's continue with more business today, and we focus on the 7th Global Road Safety Week. Uganda is presently hosting the 7th Global Road Safety Week, which is bringing attention to the crucial issue of road safety and pushing stakeholders to act right, a way to reduce the rising incidence of traffic accidents in the nation. The week-long campaign, which began on May 15th and will be ending May 21st, has gained considerable attention from a number of sectors, highlighting the necessity and the need to increase road safety in Uganda. We have the details.
It is past time for the government of Uganda to develop quick remedies to the nation's rising rate of traffic accidents. Promoting the use of non-motorized modes of transportation, such as the bicycle and walking, is one strategy to reduce road traffic accidents. This promotes both road safety and the global objective of lowering emissions by 2050.
Focusing on mass transport. We want to move more people and take away these small cars from the road so that we move more people on the road. We think that if we reduce the number of cars on the road by advocating for buses and rail, we will reduce on the accidents by reducing the cars on the roads. We're also I want to ensure that we have non-motorized transport, more walking, more cycling on the roads. So we're advocating for issues of urban mobility, which are around non-motorized transport and mass transport.
This week, the Ugandan Parliament enacted the Traffic and Road Safety Bill, which primarily focuses on reducing speed on the roads and proposes a stiff fine of 2 million shillings from 200,000 shillings for drivers who are found guilty of driving at dangerous speeds. These accidents cost the nation 4.5 trillion yearly, which prompted the government to order drivers to limit their speed from 50 kilometers per hour to 30 kilometers per hour, among other measures.
The fine of 2 million, as safety experts, we think that is okay. The challenge is the affordability. We don't know how many Ugandans will be able to pay that amount, because we have even seen, even with the tickets, which are of small amounts, they struggle to pay. But I think the thinking behind the 2 million is right.
We are much aware that we lose people every day. Like the representative from Ovita was saying, we lose mostly people aged 5 to 29. These are people who lose lives on the road every now and then, with pedestrians and motorists taking the higher percentage.
In Uganda, road traffic accidents have become a major public concern, causing thousands of fatalities and injuries each year. The country's rapidly growing population, coupled with the expanding vehicle fleet, inadequate road infrastructure, non-compliance with traffic regulations, and reckless driving behaviors have contributed to the alarming rise.
With the problem of fake spare parts on the market today. And if your Uganda Bureau of Standards does not help us control some of the standards of the spare parts, these are some of the causes of the accidents we are seeing today.
If every person drove well on our roads, we wouldn't have any road crashes, because I'll tell you, last year, Shell, Vivo Energy, they have over 400 vehicles on our roads every day, but they register 0 road crashes. Yet 400 vehicles that they have, like the other year, they traveled, all of them combined, 50 million miles, 50 million kilometers. Now you imagine that for me with one vehicle, I'm complaining about the road, I'm complaining about everything. But somebody with 400 vehicles has managed to have 0 road crashes. So we appeal to our road users that let's start taking safety seriously, and safety begins with us.
Global Road Safety Week can serve as a catalyst for innovation and the development of new products and services related to road safety. Companies can identify gaps and opportunities in the market and create solutions to address them, opening up new business avenues and revenue streams. Margaret Nachiganda, Business Today.
Right now, we return to our first report regarding the appropriation bill of 52.7 trillion shillings that has been passed by Parliament. The appropriation bill for the budget projections of the financial year 2023-2024, which was later enacted, was the focus of the legislators' activity today. Over 52.7 trillion shillings will be allocated in the next budget But legislators have warned against giving money to organizations that don't do anything for the nation as a whole. Recurrent expenses will dominate the next fiscal year's budget, with little money allocated for service provision. Samla Hanifa details.
House adopts the report of a committee of the whole House. Those in favor say on the contrary, nay.
The 52.7 trillion shillings appropriation bill for the year 2023-2024 has finally been approved by Parliament, with Governance and Security receiving the lion's share of the total budget. Members of Parliament who backed the minority report pleaded with Parliament to reallocate some funds that Finance had given to organizations like the Financial Intelligence Authority, UNBS, and to take away some money from defense budget and put the money instead in areas as vital as health, education, and parish development models, but all in vain.
That the following agencies who have continued over the years consistently to get reallocations at the mercy of the budget committee be reconsidered to balance up the number, so that the money lost for 100 billion is balanced up with the monies that have been deducted. And these are the following sectors. 1. Money reallocated, to ethics and integrity, 8 billion. Money reallocated to the National Intelligence Authority, 3 billion. Money reallocated to the Office of Auditor General, 15 billion.
Matthias Impuga, the head of opposition, has warned the government about the program-based budgeting, which he claims has made it impossible for the budget committee to reconcile figures. The legislator has also warned the government over bringing in corridendum documents at the very last minute, making the work of Parliament very difficult.
Have been jostling with the figures here and last-minute considerations. They speak volumes about the troubles of our planning framework. There was a migration from sector-based budgeting to program-based budgeting. What has been happening over this budget cycle is organized chaos, let me speak. If you look at what the ministries have been submitting, they have been submitting sectors. If you give the chairperson budget time, he will tell you how they have suffered in reconciling whether they are budgeting for programs or for sectors.
According to legislators, Ugandans shouldn't get excited over the budget for the next financial year because it is not going to benefit the local person, as it has mainly focused on recurrent expenditures and only 17 trillion shillings is left for development. The legislators say only 29 trillion shillings is available to finance the budget, and the remaining will be borrowed money.
When you look at the money appropriated in the budget, is about 52 trillion. But the real resource envelope available for production and the investment to uplift the livelihoods of Ugandans for development is actually just 17 trillion. Because the rest is basically recurrent expenditure and the statutory expenditures. So we are actually working for debts mainly. Let me say, the economy is not doing well, and there is also going to be a lot of borrowing.
Our own domestic revenue is expected to be around 29 trillion. So we have to borrow about 21 trillion to be able to finance this budget. But if you look at the entire budget, you look at the amount we are correcting, around 20 billion is going into debt repayments and servicing. So what is available that is left is very limited, is very small. And so we have to tighten our belts, because most of the social services that we expect, we have a lot of unfunded priorities.
Entities that fundamentally don't have an impact on the life of an ordinary Ugandan. Money has gone to Somalia Intelligence Authority, Sujui National Bureau of Statistics, Auditor General, IGG, and routinely we keep giving these agencies money by the parliamentary reallocation process. High question is why? Because these agencies are not directly related to service delivery.
Under the program-based allocation, agro-industrialization has been allocated 1.78 trillion shillings, integrated transport and infrastructure 4.486 trillion shillings, human capital development 9.54 trillion, governance and security 7.54 trillion shillings, development plan implementation 1.8 trillion shillings, among others. The appropriation bill awaits the President's approval and later read to the country on the 14th of June this year.
The appropriation bill for the year 2023-2024 of over 52.7 trillion shillings has finally been passed with amendments. Legislators have cautioned Ugandans that not much has been put under service delivery and that they have to work hard to improve their lives. Sam Lanifa, Smart 24 TV, Business Today.
For that report. Now, at the start of the year, the discussions were rotating around a budget framework paper of 50 trillion Ugandan shillings. Now, the appropriation bill that has been passed today clearly shows you 52.7 trillion Ugandan shillings of what is likely to be the next financial year budget for Uganda in the next financial year, that is 2023-2024. The bigger question is, though, how are we going to get through this? Now, joining me to discuss more of this, I do have an economist from CS Bank, that is none other than Ronald Ochen. Many thanks for joining us this evening.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you.
By the look of things here, if you come to think of it, first is that with the appropriation bill being passed, 52.7 trillion Ugandan shillings. What we do know so far is that according to what is in our resource envelope as the country is 29 trillion. So that means that is the money that the government has in the treasury basket, which means, or which implies that in the next financial year, the rest of the money is going to come from borrowing. And our public debt does seem to be increasing. Where does this leave us?
Well, yeah, first of all, thank you so much. I think we have to look at, in terms of this budget, 52 trillion, is the fact that according to the first national budget from about 50 trillion. So with the budget corrigendas that came in later on, the budget increased to 52 trillion now. So, and you have a resource envelope of about 20. It was 28, now increased to 29.
Yeah.
So which means if you have a budget of 52 trillion, an average resource of 29 trillion, which means about 23 trillion of that difference of that is going to be financial problem out of loans.
Sure.
So I think that will weigh down on public service delivery in the long term, because government has to look for more money to finance the programs that is going to implement in next financial year.
Okay. Now, by the look of things as well, there is a program-based budget. That is a format that the government does seem to be using lately, and it's what it's going to be used in the next financial year, where money is passed through program. It's more like a program-based budget. But some of the legislators have cried foul today, saying they do not understand more about it and why government has intentions of setting the budget allocations in such a format. Then how will the Ugandans themselves understand this kind of budget program?
Well, the programming-based budget, budgeting is actually well stipulated, even within the NDP3. It started with the NDP3. And I think it's there to enable government to implement programs much better, as opposed to initially where we had more sectoral budgets, where money was going to different sectors. But now money is going to the different programs of government. So it creates issues of efficiency in terms of financing for the budget. So I think the only issue that I think Parliament is, the parliamentarians are failing to understand, is that in Parliament they still have sectors. Okay, they have sectoral committees. So sectoral committees discuss the different ministerial policy statements. So I think that is where I think probably the conundrum could be between understanding, between the parliamentarians understanding the program-based budgeting. But I think for the common person out there, I think it is about, I think the issue or the concern should be more about how are the programs going to deliver to them services. So I think that's the issue they should be more concerned about.
Yeah. You've mentioned the National Development Plan 3,
yes,
which brings me to my other question here.
Yes.
Do you believe that this budget can really implement the NDP3 agenda?
I think it's a yes and no question.
Okay.
Why would they say that? One, if you look at the midterm review, this is for no now.
Yeah.
The midterm review I highlighted a number of failures in terms of implementation of projects, of government projects. About 14% of about 4,000 indicators within the NDP, according to the midterm framework, actually achieved success, which is very, very minimal success. And you have about 20 projects out of about 69 projects. Sorry, which government is currently implementing. So which means the others actually probably are in the concept stage, or they are still in the initial stages of implementation. So that will definitely, I think, affect in the long term with this budget allocated. That means that government is still going to be implementing the programs which are still in place. So the other thing, I think probably it is not until the issues that led to failure of the MDP, because we are left with about 2 financial years to finish NDP3.
Yeah.
So it's not until those issues are addressed. Okay, issues to deal with project cost overruns, corruption, revenue leakages. Yes. So it's not until those issues are realized or addressed that then we would expect the budget of the next financial year to address those issues.
Okay. By the look of things, in any way, does the passing of the budget being delayed affect us in regards to the policies?
No, the passing of the budget actually didn't delay, because it's still within the Public Finance Management Act. Okay. The Public Finance Management Act says that the budget should be passed by 31st of May, and we're not yet reached 31st of May.
We're still in May.
So Parliament still has the provision to pass the budget, and we are very lucky that it was passed today.
Yes. Okay, and so I want us to look at, as we're summing up with our conversation here, sure. We are having the next financial year. Amidst all these kind of challenges, including the budget cuts that the budget cuts that the PSST put in place, and of course it did say that the supplementary budgets are going to be well monitored, especially for ministries that keep on seeking for supplementary budgets, even when the money isn't so much in need for such issues. What do you think this budget will really is? If you're to look at this, will this budget be the answer to our kind of economic
addressing supplementary budgets? The issue with supplementary budgets is we need to ask ourselves again. What warrants a supplementary budget to be passed by Parliament? There are certain criteria that are well specified within the Public Finance Management Act. The Public Finance Management Act is a framework that guides implementation of fiscal policy, expenditure and revenue. So it has a set of rules and guidelines that guide fiscal policy implementation. So government, so supplementary budgets are guided by three criteria. One is that the supplementary budget representing to Parliament should be unavoidable. Okay. That is one. Two, it should be foreseeable. That means you should have foreseen that event happening. For example, the recent flooding of the flooding of the road along Masaka Road. That is an event that was not foreseen. So that could warrant, in other words, a supplementary budget. Another criteria is that it should be absorbable. It means you should be able. It means the accounting officer should be able to maneuver that budget within that specific vote. Okay. So those are the criteria that warrant a budget to be passed by Parliament, the supplementary budget. So then the issue of whether there will not be any, whether the distribution budget will address the issue of supplementary budgets, I think that's And I think that's a question that I cannot really clearly answer well, because because the PFM still gives them the leeway to do that within that. As long as it meets that criteria, they can still do that. So we can't say that because the budget has increased from 50 to 52.7 trillion, that now supplementary budgets are going to stop. I don't think so.
Okay, but by the look of things here, still, when you look at human capital through the sectors that have actually been allocated here, there is governance and security. Surprisingly, again, security having the lion's share of the budget allocations according to what has been passed today. In your opinion, which other sectors do you feel should be prioritized?
The priorities of government, before I probably go to my opinion, the priorities of government are guided by, one, they could be guided by the executive, that's the president.
Yeah.
But two, it's also guided by the National Development Plan.
Three.
Okay, that is two. So these priorities are always stipulated. So government, whenever government, to be able to see how government prioritizes, actually, it's prioritizes its spending. You always see by how much they allocate to which program currently.
Yeah.
So we have this financial year, the next financial year, sorry, we have got human capital development. We have, which is, I think, leading the pack again. We have governance and security. We have private sector development, agro-industrialization, sustainable energy development, the list goes on. So those priorities are guided by the government priorities, which are well split in the National Development Plan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Many thanks for joining us, Mr. Ronald Ochen.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. And well, for the viewers out there, we've been having Mr. Ronald Ochen, an economist with CS Bank, as we're giving an insightful, as he was giving us an insightful view in regards to the 52.7 trillion budget that has actually been passed by Parliament today. But well, besides that, you should be able to follow us here on Smart 24, as we'll be giving you a breakdown of all those sectors till the D-Day, when the budget will be presented to the Ugandans in the month of June. But well, that now brings us to the end of business today. But first, let's have a recap of our top stories. In business today, Parliament has finally passed the 52.7 trillion shillings appropriation bill for the year 2023-2024, with governance and security taking the lion's share. Uganda and Kenya milk woes. The Kenya National Bureau of Standards has awarded only 80 permits to deliver milk to nations in East Africa, leaving traders in Uganda uncertain. The Uganda-UK relations. Uganda and the United Kingdom have agreed to work together to build a Mutukula regional market for hyperscale data center and Blue 3 infrastructure. And well, now we do wish you a blessed evening and a fruitful one tomorrow in regards to the day that you'll kickstart off on Friday. But for me and Winnie Winza Nakauchi on for the sign language interpretation, we want to wish you a good night and a good evening.